Welcome to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal, your trusted source for personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and secure the compensation you deserve.
Ever get that feeling, when you're stuck in traffic? And it seems like everyone else is driving like they're in some crazy action movie, but way less coordinated. Well, you're about to be doing a ton of driving, and we're all about helping you stay safe rightly.
So today we're doing a deep dive on why car accidents happen, especially in Australia, since that's where you're headed.
Right, and to really dig into this, we're looking at this blog post from Foyle Legal. They're personal injury lawyers over in Perth. Talk about seeing the aftermath.
Yeah, they deal with this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't mess around, they get right to it. They call the biggest dangers the Fatal Five.
And it's more than just a catchy name. Speeding, drunk, or drug driving. Not wearing a seatbelt, fatigue, and distractions. These aren't just like rules someone made up. It's physics. It's how our brains work. Okay, so break that down for us a bit. What makes those five so impactful?
Well, let's just start with speeding. It's basic physics. The faster a car's going, the more energy it has, so when it crashes, the impact is way worse. It's like, think about the difference between dropping a pebble versus dropping a bowling ball.
Yeah, okay.
And then you add in like human reaction time, which isn't great to begin with. And it gets even worse when we're tired, or even worse under the influence of something.
It's kind of scary how those all build on each other,
Absolutely. And then on top of all that, you've got distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how easy it is to just glance at your phone
Just
for a second.
Right.
But at 60 kilometers an hour, that's like driving the length of a whole football field without even looking at the road.
Whoa, okay, that puts it in perspective. And they're not just talking about texting, are they? The article even mentions things like adjusting the radio, eating, even just having a conversation. All that can be distracting when you're driving. Makes you realize how many little things we do in the car that can take our focus off, Actually driving. Yeah, it's like your brain just kind of goes on autopilot. And that's when those little mistakes can turn into something way worse.
It's true. And it's not even just what's going on inside the car either. This article pointed out a lot about how much road conditions and weather, all that play a role. Like even just bad weather. It's not just about slowing down. You have to adjust your whole driving style.
Yeah, they made a good point about increasing your following distance. I mean, it makes sense, but it's easy to forget.
Totally. And being so careful around curves, especially. You have to be ready for how the road's going to affect your car.
Yeah.
Not just react once it's already happening.
Yeah, be a defensive driver, right?
Anticipate what other drivers might do, even if they're kind of being unpredictable.
For sure. And speaking of unpredictable, they mentioned things like potholes and faded lane markings, all those things that can really catch you off guard, especially when you're driving somewhere new. It actually made me think about, you're about to go on this epic road trip. They mentioned regular vehicle maintenance. Oh, don't worry. The car is it's at the mechanic right now, getting all checked out. I'm a big believer in being prepared. But I will say, reading this article, I was kind of surprised by how many of the serious accidents happen. Not just because of, a little mistake here or there, but because of what seemed like risky behavior, like aggressive driving, ignoring traffic signals. Makes you wonder, what can you even do to avoid those situations?
Yeah, no, that's a really, really important point. I think a lot of accidents are those oops moments, but then some are definitely, like you said, a pattern of risky choices. Like when they talk about is tailgating, which honestly often goes with aggressive driving. It's like the tailgating itself creates this pressure that can escalate so easily.
Oh, totally.
And then it can turn into road rage.
Yeah, like a chain reaction. One bad decision just leads to another. They also mentioned being aware of the warning signs, not even just in other drivers, but in yourself too. What do you think about that?
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's all about being self-aware when you're driving, asking yourself okay, what's my mental state right now? Am I feeling rushed or frustrated? And then being able to recognize that in other drivers too. Are they weaving through lanes, tailgating? That's a good sign they might not be in the best headspace.
Yeah.
And it's probably best to just give them some space.
You need to be able to read the road, not just the signs in the cars, but the vibe of the other drivers.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, it's not about judging anyone. It's about spotting those risks and adjusting what you're doing to stay safe. Sometimes the safest thing to do is just let someone else go first, even if you technically have the right of way.
It's true. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And hey, it's a good reminder that out there on the road, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Speaking of which, It's easy to get caught up in all these statistics and stuff, but this article really made me think about the human cost of all this,
Right? It's not just numbers. Every accident is someone's story, a whole family impacted by it.
Exactly.
But I don't think it should make us scared. I think it should make us more aware, more empowered. Because if we understand what causes these accidents, we can make better choices out there.
So for our listener who's about to head out on this big driving adventure, what are the key takeaways here? What's the best advice we can give them?
Well, they're already doing great getting their car checked out. But beyond the normal stuff, I'd say think about the tires, especially for a long trip. Make sure that spare tire is good to go and that they actually know how to change it if they have to.
Yep. Got to be prepared.
For sure. And pack a little emergency kit too. Water, snacks, basic first aid stuff. It can make a huge difference if anything happens.
Now, what about fatigue? We talked about it before, but any advice beyond get enough sleep? Because let's be real, that's not always possible on a long drive.
Right. Well, planning your route in advance is huge. Look for rest stops or even just towns where you can stop, even if you don't feel tired yet. And remember, caffeine only goes so far. Staying hydrated, eating good food, even doing some stretching when you stop. That'll help way more than another coffee.
Okay, good to know. And probably the hardest one, how do you stay focused? On those super long stretches of road, it's so easy to just zone out.
It really is.
Hmm.
This might sound weird, but try to engage with your surroundings. Listen to music, chat with your passengers if you have any. Or if you're alone, maybe put on an audiobook or something to keep your brain active. And if you do feel yourself zoning out, just pull over at the next safe spot, even for a minute. Even just a quick stretch can really help you refocus.
This whole conversation has really given me a lot to think about. It's more than just knowing the rules, isn't it?
Definitely not.
It's about knowing yourself, expecting the unexpected, and, giving other drivers a little grace out there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And one last thought, this article was all about individual drivers. But as you're driving, pay attention to the other stuff that goes into making the roads safer. Things like how the roads are designed, the traffic flow, even just where the signs are placed, it all makes a difference.
That's a really interesting point. It reminds us that we're all part of this bigger system on the road. Well, dear listener, wherever you're headed, we hope this deep dive helps you stay safe on your journey. Remember, a little knowledge goes a long way, and so does a good plan. Drive safe out there.
Thanks for tuning in to Personal Injury Claims, explained by Foyle Legal. Remember, this podcast is for informational purposes and isn't legal advice. For advice specific to your situation, visit us at Foyle Legal. And don't forget to subscribe or leave a review.